This is the beginning. This audio corresponds to the chocolatey brown sculpture that is spread out throughout the gallery. You will need both of your hands free, so if you do not have a very secure pocket for your phone, please place your phone in the phone necklace carrier and wear the necklace. You can find the necklace hanging on the headphone hanger. Feel free to use your own headphones or to borrow the headphones that are on the headphone hanger.
So tourism then is this huge kind of institutionalized economic structure, right?
Exactly.
That has a cultural face.
Look around the gallery until you spot the parts of the brown sculpture that are lying on the ground. This should include a large rectangle slightly raised above the ground and 3 skinnier rectangles that form right angles directly on the ground. Walk over to those 3 skinnier pieces that are directly on the ground and stand at the edge of them so that you are facing the larger brown rectangle.
I want to, when we talk about that idea of the gaze, of the touristic gaze, that tourism as an activity then is, you need to think also about then the geographic difference between going to the global north and the global south.
The rectangles directly in front of you are a path to the larger brown rectangle, a path to the beach. Walk along this path until you arrive at the beach.
In the quiet times when like there's not a public holiday and people are working, it's like mainly tourists. So we're probably one of 3 families that are actually native to Jamaica.
When you arrive at the beach, step onto the elevated surface and walk to the edge. Sit down, spread out, relax. Look upwards at the sun. Absorb the vitamin D. This is your vacation. You've been waiting a long time to come here, to have the ocean breeze rustle your hair, to feel the sand between your toes.
Which is fine, but I feel like the tourists, they're kind of just doing their own thing. And they interact with you, but more in a stereotypical way, you know what I'm saying? Like,
If you go to
Look over to the right side of the beach and spot a rectangular structure, your backpack. Look inside the backpack for an upright rectangle resting inside a frame of light wood.
if you go to the global south, what you want is the staging.
Exactly. You want the performance.
You want the performance.
not trying to get to know you, but like say, wagwan, or like trying to generalize Jamaican culture, not really trying to get to know you.
Carefully reach inside your backpack and pull out the rectangular structure, which is your camera. You want to take a picture of this moment. You look out in front of you into the space, into the ocean, and you see a cruise ship. You look a little closer. It might be the same exact cruise ship you were on just a few days ago.
So I want to ask you to think about the way in which the cruise ships will come in. And of course, what you want to think about is this kind of really horrific parallel between the slave ships and the cruise ships. It's a kind of historic craziness.
To hold your camera properly, make sure that the little brown rectangular cube is in the top right-hand corner. Your viewfinder is a smaller rectangle directly below this cube. As you look out, make sure that the cruise ship is in your viewfinder, and to snap a photo, gently press the rectangular cube. The Minister of Tourism there talked about how the country keeps taking in more and more people every year, and now the amount of tourists visiting the island each year surpasses the population by 1 million.
When you think about the real dynamics there, who owns what, it doesn't help our economy that much, which is kind of sad. So
a lot of it definitely just goes back to Europe and America because a lot of them own the hotels. Now turn a little further to your right so that the cruise ship is outside of your viewfinder. You need a picture where there is no evidence of other humans. Snap a photo.
It's a misleading statistic, and that's just typical of our government. Even when they're advertising these, okay, we're putting in these new highways and it's going to make life so much more efficient for the average Jamaican citizen, because you're going to have like get so fast into Kingston, your commute times aren't going to be as bad. When you look at the prices, the toll prices, like the average Jamaican cannot afford that.
Now sit back and spread your legs out. Take a picture of your tan legs. You've been working on this tan the whole trip. That photo is perfect for Instagram.
So what happens is it benefits like either the 1% who can afford it. It's good for like the tourists, and then we're just in the same struggle, but an increase, like our taxes are going to something that we can't even benefit from, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Put the camera back inside the backpack, making sure that it is standing upright inside that frame of light wood. Now, get up and walk towards the tower-like sculpture, which is in front of a large brown rectangle of wood. Observe that tower.
So when you go to Europe, it is about cultural capital, about social capital.
Yeah.
If you go to Europe and you do not see the Eiffel Tower,
What are you even doing in Europe?
yeah exactly. You have to have seen it.
It is several years later, and you are traveling in Europe. Here you are, in front of the tower.
But then that's not sufficient. You have to go from that to, oh yes, I saw that when I was a kid.
As you observe the tower, you recall an anecdote told to you by a friend before you left. He said, behind the tower is a beautiful part of the city, a hidden part, a part where almost no tourists go, filled with cafes and chocolate shops. You have to go. You crane your neck, but you can't quite see behind the tower. So you look around for something to get onto. Turn your head left and right, and then you see it. The swing. Walk over to the swing hanging from the ceiling. This is how you can see behind the tower.
And now I'm gonna really see what the French people really are like. So that's the desire then to go behind the scenes. The acknowledgement, often unarticulated, that the tourism is a spectacle that has been shaped and made for you.
Sit on the swing and swing. You can see a little more, but not too much. It seems like the swing is tethered to the ground a bit.
This is very much about modernity. It's about what it means to be modern, and to be modern then is to be constantly in a state of anxiety about authenticity,
Get off the swing.
about the real self, about real life. Am I really living? Am I really alive? Yeah.
Now, reach your arms above your head and grab the coarse rope of the swing. Using the muscles in your upper body, pull yourself upwards so that you can stand on top of the swing. If this feels uncomfortable or unsafe, you do not have to do it. As you stand on the swing, swinging gently, you can finally see above the tower. You can see the city.
So that tourism then is absolutely the engagement with this idea.
The city looks so cool. You've got to go. Slowly and carefully lower yourself off the swing and walk behind the tower.
It's like saying, can the eye see itself, if that makes sense? How can you...
Now that you are behind the tower, kneel down in front of the city. Wow, there's not a single other tourist in sight.
How can you, the tourist, see what people are like when there are no tourists around? Because your presence itself then distorts it in a very significant way.
Yeah.
There are 2 maps of the city to help you find the authentic European chocolate. Locate the configuration of light wood that is pointed out by the arrow in diagram 1. Once you have done that, use the left side of diagram 2 to find the small horizontal piece of brown wood, which is the chocolate. Once you've found it, remove it, bring it to your nose, smell it. Ah, heavenly. You have to find the other place. See if the chocolate's even better.
It's a return to the self through history. So again, if you're seeking the move away from alienation, modern alienation.
After all, you're here in this city. To find your second piece of chocolate, locate the configuration of light wood that is circled in diagram 1. This piece of wood is in the lower right-hand corner and sticking outwards towards you. Once you have found that piece of wood, use the right side of diagram 2 to help you find the small horizontal piece of wood, which is the same exact size as your other chocolate. Once you have found it, remove the chocolate. Smell it. It smells a little richer than the other chocolate. Is that a hint of hazelnut, maybe?
But notice that it's never enough just to see the civilizational sites. There's always that necessity for being.
Using the diagrams as aid, place both of the chocolates back where you found them. If you can't remember where the pieces of chocolate rest, you can look for pieces of light wood with 3 thin black lines on them. The pieces of chocolate should cover those black lines when they are in place. You might have to turn the chocolate a certain way to get it to slide in correctly, as one side is thinner than the other. You have finished your travels. Please make sure that everything you used is back in place and ready for the next participant, including the 2 chocolates and the camera. If you borrowed headphones or a phone necklace carrier, please place both of those back on the headphone hanger, and please leave the headphones plugged into the MP3 player.